Well, Dannah Gresh is on a mission. She's identified many of the lies that women believe that are robbing them of joy, a sense of peace, and the likelihood of enjoying meaningful relationships. Her first book, And the Bride Wore White, sold over 200,000 copies. Well, she's with us today to discuss one of her latest books that she co-authored with Nancy Lee DeMoss, entitled Lies Young Women Believe and the Truth That Sets Them Free. Also joining us is Jen Wilton, a young woman who, as a teenager, accepted Dannah's challenge to let go of those lies. Welcome, Dannah, and welcome, Jen, to the Full Circle Couch.
Thanks. It's so fun to be here with you today.
This is a full circle.
It is.
We are really close
We have
together
a full
here.
couch.
Yeah, it's great.
I love this. Well, we have all really enjoyed your book,
yes.
Dannah, because
Thank
we can all so relate to the lies that young, old, middle-of-the-road women believe. Why is it that women just kind of internalize and accept these lies?
You know, it's really interesting because Nancy and I have really studied it from the very beginning of time. Who first believed a lie? It wasn't Adam, it was Eve. Is there a proclivity for women to believe lies? We think perhaps there is, maybe because we're more emotionally wired. Or is Satan just really trying to dismantle the hierarchy of authority that God created in man, woman, husband, wife? We don't know, but women do tend to internalize these things. We hold on to them for years, and things that we believed when we were 15, we're still struggling with when we're 40. Why is that?
That is so true.
Well, the question for me is, it's the choosing, right? Like, I mean, there are lies that come at us. You're ugly, you're fat, you're no good. But we actually choose to believe that.
We dwell on them.
Okay.
We dwell on them. Satan didn't just succeed in lying to Eve because she ignored him or shut herself off. She stayed close to him. She dwelled on that lie. A young woman who, for example, might believe lies about her beauty. I'm ugly, I'm fat, I don't look like that woman on the cover of a magazine. She's probably feasting on, dwelling on fashion magazines, celebrity magazines, beauty on the television, things like that, rather than feasting on God's truth about her beauty.
Now, Jen, I know that as a young woman yourself, you actually were believing some of these lies early on, and it was really Dannah's work that helped you to turn things around. Tell us a little bit about that.
In fact, it was her appearance on this very
That's
program.
right.
It was. I saw
met
Dannah.
through
Yeah.
Huntley Street. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Dannah on the show, decided to email her, and here we are years later.
Yeah, and you know what? Her life is really a testimony because as a 15-year-old, she saw me on Huntley Street, and then about a year later I was on Huntley Street, and she drove here and we met. And there were a lot of lies that you could share, I won't share, that you were believing at the time. And this week she's starting a job as a youth pastor.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, that's awesome.
So just several years later, God has released her from all those lies, and she's going to be releasing
And
other
she
young
will
women.
be speaking life into those young girls.
Yeah.
Very
What connected
excited
for
about it.
you, Jen? What
me?
was it that was hitting home in your struggle at that time?
I think the biggest thing was not feeling loved. And then through Dannah's mentorship, I realized that God was showing me how much He loved me, even through just emails from Dannah. It was
Pages
incredible.
and pages,
Yes.
books and books.
Yes, yes. It probably took you a long time to get through those emails. So I think that was the biggest thing that clicked, was that God loved me enough that He would plop me down and let me see Dannah on 100 Huntley Street.
And you were in a bad relationship at the time.
Yes,
It's okay to say that.
Yes, absolutely. In an awful relationship, and Dannah helped me to walk through the process of getting out of that relationship, and it was a process, wasn't it?
It was. One
But
step at a time.
But I think the key, though, in your book, you have 25 lies, and there could be thousands, right?
Oh, there are.
And it's interesting because it runs the full gamut of our life. So it goes from our looks, and then our abilities, and our own faith, and all these things. And you can imagine, like, as a young girl, for me, I mean, I think the biggest one was I came to Canada at 13. I'm 4'10" and a half. I've dark skin, and I land in a community of all white people. And the beauty marker was the Anns. It really was. I always thought that I needed to be, like Ann.
Blonde and blue-eyed.
Yes, and you can imagine the struggle, because obviously I can't be, but every magazine cover had no Filipino girl on the front of, Teen Vogue or 17 magazine at all. And so as I think about that, it's like young girls and girls even 35 are bombarded with images and lies constantly. And so how do you work out turning that off in your head?
You know, even women who are applauded on the covers of magazines, like Keira Knightley, blockbuster movie star, hit of Pirates of the Caribbean. She's 5'7". The press estimates her weight at 115. She's probably a size 2, maybe a 4. And she is quoted as saying, "When I try out at these auditions, I am the largest woman there. I feel so big."
Wow.
She's big in the beauty industry and the standard of beauty. I struggled with beauty so viciously during my teen years that I wouldn't look in the mirror. I can actually put my mascara on in the dark to this day because I hated so much looking in that mirror. It did not change until I was in college, and what shifted it was I stopped spending so much time feasting on beauty and everyone else's beauty, and I started spending time in God's Word. And the book of 1 Peter says, your beauty doesn't come from outward adornment, but from an inner, quiet spirit. And I really believe the recipe for us as women is, if you spend 30 minutes in front of the mirror, do you spend 30 minutes in God's Word and in prayer, asking Him to make you internally beautiful? I started looking in the mirror after I started spending time in God's Word, and I wasn't going, oh, is she hot? But I was at least saying, God created a good thing. I'm okay with looking at this.
And you know what? I have to address what you said, Melinda, because even girls or women who are the blonde and tall or whatever have, and we've talked about this before.
Yeah, we have talked about it, yeah.
We, at the women's conference, we've been very transparent about this, have issues.
Yeah.
And no one knows really the inner turmoil that every woman has about her appearance. For years, I've shared this at our women's conference before. I am 5'9", just over 5'9", and for years in my growing up years, I was told by other people that I was too tall. And when you're that tall, you can't do anything about it. You can't lose inches. You can't do anything about your height. And so you start to run this tape recorder. And that's what we're talking about in your book. The tape recorder is, I'm broken and I will never be fixed. I'm too tall. And so I wore flat shoes, you know, for years until I gave, like you said, I gave that to God. And
Praise
said,
God, girl, you have
didn't-
heels on today.
I'm wearing heels today because I know that I'm not broken, because God made me, God made you the way you are because He loves you. Now, I love what Max Lucado says, but He loves you too much to leave you that way, the way you are on the inside. And that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about the external. We're talking about the internal. And that's what your book is all about.